Urban Therapy with Sun 752. This is your daily go-getterism number 844 for January 24th, 2017. All right, so tonight I want to talk to y'all about completing the ending. When something ends, do you complete it? Do you end things all the way, or do you keep one foot in and one foot out? A lot of times we have a tendency to keep one foot in something and keep one foot out of something. Like we claim that we want to go, and we may actually really want to go, but we stay back a little bit because we either feel guilt about leaving in the first place, or we don't think that somebody's going to make it on their own without us. And even though that sounds absurd to the person that's not going through it, when you're actually going through it yourself, it doesn't feel that absurd. It doesn't sound all that absurd. You know, I asked an interesting question today about happiness, and are you responsible for your own happiness, or can a person be responsible for your own happiness? And most people agree, and I think partially rightfully so. Most people agree that happiness comes from within, that you draw your happiness from inside yourself. You get to know yourself, and you decide whether you want to be a happy person or you want to be a sad person. And as we know, a lot of people succumb to stress and depression and live a really, really unhappy existence. But for the amount of people that claim to believe that happiness comes within, I find it hard to believe that everybody has found that happiness, because it's an art, it's a practice, and it takes training, and that training comes from other people. So most people on the post agree that your happiness should never come from another person, because if that person leaves you, then you're unhappy. The thing is, look at it this way. Look at it this way. If people or a person isn't responsible for your happiness, then how would you feel if you lived in a world without any people at all? Would you still be happy on the inside? It's something to think about. You know, because I think part of the reason why we don't want to think that a person or that people give us happiness is because, quite frankly, I hate to take it back to this, but it comes from, I believe, pride and ego. Pride and ego make us not want to give anyone else credit for how we feel or what we do. We want to believe that we control our own destiny. And there was a time in my life not long ago when I really believed that I controlled my own destiny. But there's plenty of evidence to support that I don't control my own destiny. Some people have had plans for me, and they have gone through with those plans, and I didn't know anything about it. So did I control my own destiny? I can make myself believe that by saying that I put myself in a position for those things to happen, but that's not really how it happened, because those things happen independent of my knowledge. And I basically just played my part. And even if I was manipulated or tricked in or influenced to put myself into those positions, that's not me controlling my own destiny. Now, I'm just saying all of this to say this. One of the reasons why we may prolong the ending of things is because we have a concern about people that we are ending things with. It's not such an easy thing to end things with people, especially people who you've been through things with, especially people who you have feelings for, especially people that you care about, especially people that you love. It's not easy to just walk away from that, even when you know you should. Even when you know that you've been abused, even when you know that you're the abuser, even when you know that it's a dangerous situation, even when you know that it's not safe, even when you've had enough of the bullshit, it's still not easy to walk away. And people front, especially nowadays with social media. People front like it's so easy to walk away from all kinds of situations. And trust and believe, I've been the type of person that's lived a life that has walked away from every situation that I was uncomfortable with in my life. Maybe it was easier for me when I was younger, but but I don't think I gave people as much value when I was younger as I do now. So because I value people now, and I want people to value me as well, I feel a deeper connection with people than I had before. So in other words, I've grown up a little bit. So I don't mind giving credit to other people for molding and shaping parts of my life, for making me part of who I am, for controlling controlling a portion. I don't want to say small or whatever. For controlling a portion of my emotional state. So it makes it a little, when you look at it in that perspective, for me, it makes it a little easier for you to accept certain things that you may do or things that you may reject. So bringing this all forth full circle, this is what I'm trying to say ultimately. When you really are trying to leave something, when you really are trying to end something, you either want to do it or you don't. You know, sometimes things take a long time to end, and maybe even longer than it takes to start it. But that's because you've invested time and effort and emotions into the things that you've done, and it's not easy to just walk away from those things. Now, in a relationship, whether that relationship is familial, romantic, or even a business relationship, the more time you spend in those relationships, the harder it's going to be for you to walk away. So, and the way things start aren't always the way they finish. Even the endings of things, the way the ending starts, is not always the way that it finishes. But in order to solidify that position of wanting to end something, sometimes you have to make sure that you stand your ground and end it right then and there. Even if you're going to come back, I don't know, a month later, 6 months later, a year later, and make amends. For right now, you gotta walk away. Only because if you don't, then you're still there. And so you have to decide, do you want to be here or do you want to be away? You owe it to yourself, and you owe it to the person that you're dealing with. In any situation, just like I said, it may be familial, it may be romantic, it may be business related. Now, some people might say, well, how can a business relationship be really hard to walk away from? It may have provided your livelihood. Not only that, but that may have been your life's work. It may be your baby. It may be something that you built from the ground up and then shared a partnership with. Let's say you had a partnership with somebody and y'all built this thing from the ground up. But now it's time for it to end. Is it going to be easy to just walk away from that? This thing might have been what fed your family for the last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It's not going to be easy to just walk away from that. Even if you're just transferring power, it's not going to be easy to just hand over those reins when you've been doing so well, taking care of it yourself for that long. So, yeah, relationship is a relationship. Respect that. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind, and anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, you have to complete the endings that you start. If you start to end something, then make sure you end it all the way. You know, you can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You are either all the way in the swimming pool or you're not. If you just wanna get your feet wet and stand on this and sit on the side of the pool, just remember that you did not go swimming. Don't try to tell people that you're going swimming when all you're doing is sitting on the side of the pool, dangling dipping your feet in the water. Yeah, you got your feet wet, but you didn't go swimming. It's important to remember that. Tomorrow night on the Urban Therapy with Sun show, we got a hot show for y'all tomorrow night. This thing gonna be on fire. On fire, I tell you. You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow we're talking about influence, pressure, and inspiration. Influence, pressure, and inspiration. The word that I want to concentrate on the most is pressure. How do we stand up to the pressure of situations? What makes us be able to endure the stress, the obligation, the responsibility of the things that we get into? What makes us want to stay in certain situations by obligation, not by somebody else, by our own personal obligations? What makes us do that instead of walking away when the going gets rough, or when things don't go our way, or when we get our feelings hurt? What makes us stay in? What gets us to even move toward that light in the first place? What does that? What is it? You know? Whether it's your family, whether it's giving charity. Have you ever taken care of somebody else, or started to feed somebody else, or clothe somebody else, or financially provide for somebody else? And after a while, it just seems like the right thing to do, regardless. What gets us on that path? What makes us form the habit of doing it? And did we get that from somebody else? The influence part of that, did we get that from somebody else? Were we taught that by our parents, by our mentors, our guardians, our teachers, our coaches? How did they flip on that switch in our minds that made us choose this way of life that we have chosen? Hopefully tomorrow night we don't get to the point where, y'all know I talk about pride and ego a lot, man. You know, and it's probably because I come across a lot of people that really believe that they hold the keys to everything that they do. I understand part of that, but I think we got to dig a little deeper. Tomorrow we're going to dig a little deeper. We're going to talk about what gives us the inspiration, the pressure, the obligation, the responsibility. It's going down tomorrow on the Urban Therapy with Sun show, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Call-in number is 319-527-6199. Once again, the number to call is area code 319-527-6199. blogtalkradio.com/Sun 752. Peace. Hold up, before I say peace, peace. That's tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, January 25th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's 7:30 Central. It's going to be 5:30 on the West Coast. But it's 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so make sure y'all come through, man. All right? Do me that solid. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.